Here's a way you don't want publicity. CloudPets is a popular stuffed animal line. It allows kids to record and send messages. It's now being taken off the shelves due to security concerns. Let's talk to a software attorney and cybersecurity expert about this. His name is Marcus Harris. He's back on WHO here in Des Moines and the Lippman Law Newsmaker line. Marcus, good morning to you. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm good. Good to be with you again.
Marcus, I think one of the things, I looked at your news release about this, and you pointed this out, that we're all used to toys being pulled from the shelves because they might be dangerous to kids, like our kids might choke on them. This is the first time we've heard about a cybersecurity concern, isn't it?
Well, it's the first time it's actually been pretty well publicized. So it's happened in some instances before, but this is really the first time that it's gotten as much coverage as it has. And I think it's a good thing that it's finally coming to light because it's a serious issue that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. So what does CloudPets do here? What's the danger, Marcus, with CloudPets?
Well, essentially what CloudPets is, and I think you summarized it pretty well, it's just they're these internet-connected teddy bears that allow parents and relatives to send messages to their children and then allow the kids to also send and record messages via the teddy bear to their distant relatives. That's what it is essentially, and the way it works is that there is an internet app that's associated with this, of course, that the parent is required to set up an account with some personally identifiable information that's stored in that account, and that's where the essence of the problem is. That information that was being stored along with the actual messages that were being sent by these children, they were all recorded in an unsecured database online that was essentially hacked, and then all of this information, essentially 82,000 account holders, their personal records were compromised. So it's an incredibly big deal on two fronts. One, you've got just a data breach issue that's always concerning when people aren't taking cybersecurity issues seriously. But I think anytime you've got children involved, it reaches a whole new level.
Absolutely. And Marcus, also the folks that put out CloudPets could be in trouble because they didn't initially tell us about this hack, right?
You know, they weren't as truthful as they should have been, certainly. You know, this was initially discovered apparently over a year ago, and only now are these internet retailers actually pulling the toy from their shelves. So that in and of itself I think is problematic. I think anytime you've got a security breach, and we see this with the big well-known marquee security breaches, you've got to take the right steps immediately to minimize the impact. You can't just keep silent and then wait over a year to really take any kind of substantive action, and I think it's appalling and it's horrible.
Well, as we get into this strange new world, Marcus, you can see companies, we're seeing this repeatedly, companies getting information that something terrible's happened, and they sit on the information because they know it's going to be bad, but that just makes the situation worse, doesn't it? That you're not, do they honestly expect that we're not going to find out eventually that a hack has occurred?
Well, I think that's true with so many things in life. I mean, I think, when you've made a mistake, you've just got to own up to it and disclose what you've done so that people know, people trust you, and you can move on. And I think, you only have to look so far as Facebook, which has been in the news consistently over the last few months, to realize how bad it is just to have the slow drip associated with these kinds of breaches. It's a big deal. It really foreshadows, I think, what is to come as we get more connected. This whole concept of Internet of Things is going to explode, and you're going to have more devices that are actually in your house that you're utilizing on a daily basis, from your refrigerator to your toys to your personal assistant like Alexa, that are all going to have the ability to compromise your security, and you need to know what you're doing.
Marcus, you said earlier this is especially bad because it involves kids, and that sends a chill up my spine because I'm thinking, are they looking to locate these kids, or are these hackers just looking for bank account numbers or things like that? What do you think they're looking for?
Well, when it involves kids, it could be anything, and it's certainly shocking. In this particular case, there was some sort of a financial aspect to this. So, thank goodness that they weren't targeting children directly, but I think the possibility certainly was there. The implications could be huge, and like I said, I mean, it foreshadows things that are to come. It's not it's not the old days where you've got to worry about the guy, driving around in a truck. I mean, you've got to worry about something in your house that you think is secure that's going to compromise not only your digital privacy, but maybe the safety of your family. I think there is going to come a time when someone with some tech skills is going to be able to manipulate these kinds of connected devices to lure children or to do the unspeakable, frankly.
Well, and Marcus, you're right on. These so-called smart toys, they're not going away. So what do these companies need to do, first of all, to secure their customers' privacy? And what am I looking for as a consumer to make sure that something like this, I'm protected?
Well, I think first and foremost, on the consumer side, you really kind of have to have some kind of level of blind trust, unfortunately. You've got to make sure that to the extent you have any insight into what these people are doing, that they're actually doing it. And the only indication you're going to have is by looking at privacy policies, any kind of disclosures or statements that these people are sending to you. You really want to go over those with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that you understand them. They should be written in plain English so that you don't need to get someone like me involved to interpret these things for you. If you don't see something like that, you really have to be concerned. And my advice would be just to pass on that particular toy, because anybody worth their salt today is going to have substantive disclosures, privacy policies. They're going to let you know how they deal with your privacy. So that's something that you can do. As far as what they can do, you've got to make sure you're dealing with somebody, a toy manufacturer that's got some level of reputation and notoriety in the business. If you're dealing with kind of these unknown companies from China or from overseas, who knows what you're getting? And I think today you've got to really kind of look at those guys with a jaundiced eye, because it's the risk that you're taking on yourself. And apparently you can't trust these vendors anymore, the retailers. You can't trust people like Target and Walmart that were the companies that were had these products on their shelves. You've got to take things into your own hands. And really privacy and cybersecurity concerns, you're going to see them a lot more. And I think with the implementation of a law called the GDPR in Europe, that's going to have substantive impacts, and it's going to impact how American laws are going to be structured in the future. That's my prediction anyway.
Right. So you think that ultimately this is going to become a legislative matter, Marcus, that somehow there's going to be some requirements that we're going to have for companies that are manufacturing things like these devices, smart toys that are listening to us?
It's coming down like a freight train, to be quite honest with you. You don't see it right now necessarily. It's not in the news a lot, but I'll guarantee you in a year, 2 years, that there's going to be a significant overhaul of the legislative scheme as it applies to privacy and cybersecurity over the Internet, and with this concept of Internet of Things, which is right in the wheelhouse of this toy issue that we're talking about today. It's going to happen.
That is cybersecurity expert and software attorney Marcus Harris. You can find him on Facebook and Twitter. Marcus, always appreciate your insight. I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.